It's the official WWF Worldwide Wrestling Federation tag team figures on today's episode of Baseball King Collectibles. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the channel. So glad to have you with us. This is the final of the Hasbro figures that we've had signed, autographed. Some in person, some bought online. But whatever, we got the whole series. We did series 1 through 11. Now, this is basically the finale of the tag teams. And to bring you along the rest of the way and tell you all about it, none other than the Baseball Prince himself. Here he is.
How's everybody doing today? How are we? Like he said, it is the final series. It's a makeshift series. This is actually, they came out during, series, I guess, 1, 2, and 3-ish, series 4. They stopped at series 4. They released them with the singles. I just kind of wanted to do its own series. Its own separate series. I'm starting off with this tag team set of the Rockers. Just like the 1, 2, 3 kid, this is the only other figure I have unsigned for people that are still with us, still alive. I just haven't met them since I've been on my venture to get these signed, and I just haven't even found a good set I would say worthy to buy. So I'm holding off. I really wanted to make this video with this figure signed, as it is a pretty easily obtainable one to get. But for whatever reason, I haven't yet, but I will. This is not a hard one to obtain, and I will within the coming months have this in my possession signed. This is a really good example of an unsigned tag team rocker set. We went over their accomplishments as a tag team when we went over talking about Marty and Sean's accomplishments. They did tag team for a bit. They had a good run. They did win a championship, which was later voided pretty much immediately. So did they win? Did they not win? And then Sean turned on him in that infamous barbershop fiasco where he threw him through the glass and went on his singles run, a heel run, and went on to be a mega star while Marty kind of, stayed in that middle card tag team scene. He actually did beat Sean for the Intercontinental Championship. That is a claim to fame, but just wasn't anywhere near the star Sean was and is and always will be. Top guy in the 90s, so early 2000s as well. So this figure on the side, well, let me just say that the tag teams in really nice shape and really good condition are hard to get. Obviously, they're more bulky. The bubbles are typically there's a lot more of it to have it dented or cracked. So it's hard to get these and find these in really tip-top shape. American card, of course, there's a lot of them in foreign cards. They did make these in foreign cards as they were prior to Series 6, so they did still have the foreign cards. This is in this shape, I would say, this is probably the most, second as far as tag teams go. Let's say 250. Let's say 200. In this shape, 200. But you could pick one up pretty easily for under 150 and a foreign card for well under 100. So, but again, condition means everything, and this is a top condition. If it was signed, you're looking closer to 300, being that Sean's signature brings at least a $50 to $100 of value added, and Marty a tad bit on top of that. So, let's move on. Let's go next one with the Nasty Boys. Okay. We have the Nasty Boys. We have Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags. Okay. They were kind of that tag team from the mid-90s where everyone really loved to root for them. They were that kind of face tag team where they would challenge teams like Demolition and Money Inc. and those kind of natural disasters, those kind of heel tag teams. They were the tag team that we all rooted for. Not a big run as far as championships go. I believe they won just one singular championship with the WWF. But the iconic tag team, really, that early to mid-90s, really more early 90s kind of pre-Attitude Era classic tag team that we all love. So they're actually kind of really good friends with Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan looked out for them, and they brought them to WCW later on, and they had a little run in WCW. But for a 5-year period, they were at the top of the WWF Tag Team scene. Not quite LOD, not quite Demolition, but right under that, tag team. It's just signed in a blue paint pen, which you see here kind of, got a little lost in the backing here. I would have probably preferred a bit of a darker paint pen so it pops a little bit better. It says Nasty Boys WWF Champ, and then Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags signed here. I did not get this one signed myself, but I did have it third-party authenticated with JSA. Condition, you see a little crease and maybe a little curling here, but a nice bubble. And again, these are tough to get in good condition. This is not great, but it's definitely, I would say above average. So unsigned in this shape, Nasty Boys probably about $200. In top shape, you could command 3 or more in really top shape. It's a tough one to get. Signed in this shape, you're looking probably easily $250, but probably closer to $3. They really were iconic Hasbro figures. They have the beautiful kind of paint splattered shirts, the glasses. It's really an iconic look. Obviously, you see their mohawks. The details on these figures were very good. So I really love these tag team figures. Moving along, okay. Let's go with the Bushwackers. As far as value unsigned, this is easily the easiest one to obtain. But because of Butch, his signature being on here, that's why you're seeing this is kind of a in the middle value for these tag teams. This is probably well, we'll talk about that in a second. But we have Luke's signature in a gold paint pen and Butch in probably a thinner gold, different pens, probably signed it at different occasions. Obviously, that they didn't use the same pen here. You have a butterfly hook. We never talked about a butterfly hook yet, but that does mean it's a UK release. I'm 99% sure that's UK. Gave the butterfly hook. This is JSA authenticated, and also a third-party authentication, Monopoly Authentic. I guess that was the event that they signed, and it's a meaningless cert, but that's okay. Double certed. Again, this figure, we talked about this already in Series 10 when they were individually released, but they were kind of a gimmicky tag team, kind of a fun tag team, never hunted for a title, never were in contention for a title. They were more of a comic relief tag team. Think of, R-Truth today, how he is, although he actually does compete for championships here and there, but Bushwhackers never. This figure, you could pick a foreign card, non butterfly hook up for $50. Bushwhackers tag team on card, okay? These are very easily obtainable. Now, when we start talking, American card, better condition, this is okay condition. We're talking 125-ish. When we're talking butterfly hook, probably 150-ish, maybe even a little bit more than that. But when we start talking signed by Butch specifically, we're talking easily in the 400 range, especially with a butterfly hook in decent condition, certified. It's just a really hard signature to get. Luke is very easily obtainable, still is, but Butch had a lot of health issues, as we talked about later on in life. Really lived more in, I want to say, was it Australia or New Zealand? Most of his later years, while the wrestling conventions really took off. So there's not a whole lot of opportunity to get him to sign anything. And of course, at this point, he is passed away. So we were not going to be able to get him to sign anything anymore, unfortunately. But this is a very, beautiful piece of my collection. I appreciate this piece and the rarity of it. And, we'll move on. Okay. This next one is kind of a half sign one. This is Road Warrior. The Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, Animal, and Hawk. They were, of course, known as the Road Warriors in WCW, but as Legion of Doom in WWF. I actually got this one signed myself about a week before Animal passed away. It is not signed by Hawk. I kind of debated on whether or not to get it signed by Animal at the time, because obviously at that point Hawk was already gone and there was no chance for me to get both. But I said, you know what? I had an extra at the time. Let me just get this one signed. If I could pick up a dual sign one later on, no problem. I have yet to do that. It is very rare to have Hawk on one of these signed. He did pass away quite a bit ago, so, well, at least probably 10 years ago. But still to have Animal on here, and if you notice here, his thumbprint kind of made an impression in the autograph. That's pretty cool. Some may say it hurts the value. I think that's pretty cool. The only thing is, I asked him to sign Legion of Doom because he is Legion of Doom here. He signs Road Warrior. That's kind of just a habit that they have. They sign Road Warrior a million times. I don't know. I guess they don't really, consider. He didn't really consider themselves as Legion of Doom. It was they were mostly Road Warriors for the 80s in non WWF, WCW, before they even got to WWF. By now they're well known as Road Warriors. I guess they couldn't use that tag team name, or they decided that let's shake it up. They called them the Legion of Doom, and I guess they were again more known as certainly Road Warriors, but that's okay. This one I did get certified. All right, and this is an interesting one because now we're going to talk about a few different values here. Number one being the Road Warriors unsigned in really excellent shape, which this is at least a $250 to $300 figure. Now, when we're talking only Animal, yeah, it does bring a little value, maybe closer to $350. Okay, he's no longer with us, but most people want this dual sign. Nobody really, is going to be searching for a singular Animal signed figure, so it doesn't bring a ton of value. But if you have Hawk on here, it's at least $1,000 figure, probably closer to $1,500. I would be in the ballpark of $1,500 if I were to make an offer on one. You'd probably see him in Sharpie. Again, Hawk wasn't around too much with the, where paint pens were certainly popular. I'm sure they had them, but he's going to mostly be signing in Sharpie. That's okay. I would love to obtain one if anybody is selling one, as well as the Rockers as well. If anybody has a Rockers signed one, I'm certainly in the market with a nice paint pen. It doesn't have to be certified. Sean and Marty's signatures are pretty distinct, so that's hard to fake those. So Legion of Doom, we talked about their accomplishments. Maybe we haven't. They won a couple championships. They were, again, at the top of the card, feuding with Demolition, which we're going to see probably pretty soon, I have a feeling. They were certainly a Hall of Fame type tag team, iconic, on the Mount Rushmore of tag teams, so to speak, without a doubt. So that's not even a question. Okay, and last but not least, we have Demolition. Okay. And this is probably my, pride and joy. This is, as far as tag teams go. It is in terrible shape. Okay, as you see, a yellowed card, a beat up card, a yellow bubble, and a beat up card. But it is signed, okay, by Demolition Smash, but more importantly, by Crush. Okay, and this is certified JSA. Okay, there's not a lot of examples of a dual signed Demolition, especially with Crush on it. You see some with Smash and Axe, but this is Smash and Crush. This isn't Smash and Axe. So you get Smash and Crush on here to sign. Super, super rare. You saw Series 7, the yellow card, where we had Crush. We saw Series 11, the green cards, where we did not have Crush, but now we see a tag team with Crush on it. So we have 2 of 3 as far as Crush go. Smash is a very common signature. Crush is absolutely not. Died many years ago, at least 15 years ago. Okay. Demolition was an iconic tag team. Really, even before Crush was a thought. It was mostly Axe and Smash. They brought Crush in at some point when Axe had some health issues. I believe a shellfish allergy that brought his health down for a while. They needed a third man. They were getting up there in age at that point too. They weren't really at their prime anymore, but they were still absolute dominant, heels, championships. They were, again, on the Mount Rushmore tag teams for sure. Crush added a little bit. He added that kind of that big man, that power. He added to the aura of the Demolition for sure. But really kind of branched off into his own thing shortly after and had a singles run. Again, a mid-card, mostly singles run for Crush. But anyway, talking about Demolition and these figures, they do come with the helmets. It's such an iconic look. Those helmets are pretty cool. Those accessories, are really tough to come by with Hasbro. People really didn't save them. So the helmets alone are worth probably, I don't know, 30, $40 a piece. But anyway, to talk about value, to talk about Demolition value, a nice, let's talk about value of a, near mint set, on card set. This isn't it. Demolition probably in the $300 range, 250 to 300, and probably a little bit beyond that. Even mint, you could probably ask 350 ish. In this condition, unsigned, probably $100. Okay, but adding Demolition Smash and Crush the signature on it, at least, even in this really crappy condition, at least 1,500. Okay, putting Crush on a tag team. And again, it's not just like a faded Crush signature. It is a beautiful Crush signature. I wish it was in better condition. If it was, it'd be worth $2,500 in my opinion. But it's not, and that's okay. I'll deal with it for now. And yeah, so it's condition matters, and it certainly does. And you've heard me talk about that, and you heard me talk about different values for different condition. But when we're talking the rarest of the rare, and anything Hasbro Crush signed is that condition, I look the other way. Unless I could find one better, and I haven't. This is the only one that I've seen, come to, be available. I scoop it up until you are able to replace it with something better, and I haven't yet, and I've had this for well over a year. I deal with it, so I'm very happy with it. I love it. That concludes the Tag Team series. That concludes the Hasbro series. As far as introducing you to all of my figures. When I do receive a Rockers tag team set, I will make an updated, and a 1, 2, 3 kit, I'll make an update. And any of the deceased ones that I haven't gotten yet, I'll make an update for those as well. They're few and far between, but when I do, I will certainly put out a video for that. I'm also going to put out some different videos where we talk about a top 10 list for rarity, for my favorite, for different lists we could certainly go over, and we really appreciate you coming along in these really 12 series, 12 videos. We'll see you soon for sure with some updates and with some lists. Please please subscribe, please watch the other videos, please watch the playlist with these 12 videos. We will see you soon on Baseball King Collectibles. I am the Baseball Prince. Thank you so much.